Welcome to Making Light. Julie Hurt and Kate Foggo are soul-level intuitives and animal communicators, and this show is about us sharing our experiences in the hope that it may help others along their path. So let's go make some light.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Making Light, Two Humans Being. We're so happy that you're back on our channel. We have been gone for 2 weeks because somebody who's not being named just yet has been away to some degree on a silent retreat. So I'm so excited to have my partner in crime, Kate Foggo, back with me here on Making Light, Two Humans Being. Kate, I see Kenny from South Park.
Oh, the power of a visual joke.
We were just, playing. Yeah.
That's stupid. That's like a boy's joke. Oh.
So today, as Kate gets the crap out of her mouth, so today we're going to talk about the Sin of Sloth. And we're inspired by a lot of different things. We're also inspired. I'm going to hold up this book just because it's like the best. Best book ever. Of recent times. Honor-Based Behavior, The 7 Deadly Sins, and The Price Women Pay to Be Good by Elise, Loehnen, who does my favorite podcast, Pulling the Thread. I cannot recommend this book enough. The first sin she talks about is the Sin of Sloth, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, oddly enough, because we just went through some stuff that, like, this Sin of Sloth actually kind of helps explain it. So, yeah. Where do we want to begin? Do you want to begin with your retreat, your silent retreat? And
not so much, well, it was silent because there's nobody there, but solitary. So I had been looking for somewhere to go. I've done a retreat every year for the last, I think, 6 years, apart from 1 year of COVID. Didn't let us. I don't know. And the last time I went, I think you'll know I didn't have it was all right, but I got all, I don't know, some woman fucked me over. Shouldn't mean to. I mean, the world's full of, anyone who's on a retreat, we're all mixed up. I shouldn't do it. I got in trouble for that years and years ago, saying to a counsellor that everyone I knew that was of any interest at all was one of her clients. And she and I'd made some comment about obviously you have to be screwed up to be interesting, and she didn't like that at all. I got in serious trouble for that. But no, I mean, let's face it, those of us that care about retreats and we're all soul searching, so we have to some degree either not just experience trauma, but acknowledge that we've experienced some sort of trauma, and we're all seekers, shall we say. And I think that makes us in the wider picture different in a good way. But it also means that you quite often get very vulnerable people and people at different stages in life, and also being on a retreat like that, can make vulnerable people extremely vulnerable. And this woman took offense at something. I think she did. I mean, who knows? It might have been completely unconnected. But I got really upset by it, and I went through all of that, and I thought, I don't need other people. It just, it silly is, because I guess that's all part of the retreat experience, is that you're going through shit, other people go shit, the being in quiet and silence and reducing your input, as they say, and going inward means that you do become more sensitive. And I reacted to, I don't even think she acknowledged what had happened. Like, I don't think it was a thing at least it was a thing to her, but I actually wasn't even involved. She got up and walked away when I asked her something. That's how trivial it was. But I got upset, and then I got upset with myself for being upset, and then and then there was all this blame and recrimination about the fact I'm 55 years old and I get upset because some lunatic stands up and leaves the table, and I take it upon myself that it's my fault because I'm upset. And I apologize. I don't mean lunatic, but it makes for a better story. So I decided I really wanted to do a silent retreat to maybe have the solitude and the resting and the exploration and go on that beautiful spiritual journey without having to navigate other people's egos. So I was cat sitting for father of a friend of a father of somebody who needed a cat sitter, and lived in this beautiful house right on the far end of the west coast of Scotland. I've never been there. It was mostly single track road to get there, and there's literally like 5 or 6 houses, so it's at the end of a road, literally overlooking the water. I mean, it couldn't have been any closer, and it was a no through road, so the only traffic was to the other two houses, and just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Cat was wonderful, except she fished in fuck knows how many dead live things all night. He'd said lock her in she had a cat flap out of the boiler room, so she hadn't, so she could have been in the house but not in the rest of the house. But I thought, I can't do that, because Sally of course would howl if I did that. So after 3 nights of zero sleep, because she just was relentless. So it was midsummer, and she brought in something, and then she brought in something else, and then she brought in something. She didn't kill them, so they were just running around the bedroom, and she was chasing around the bedroom. So I was like catching voles and rodents, and she brought a dead bird in, and then I got the vole out, and she brought another one in, and then I got that, and then like 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I can't, I'm not sleeping. So after 3 nights of this, I locked her out, and she was fine. She didn't make a fuss at all. In fact, she'd still be out hunting when I got up in the morning. But there we go. So it was very restful. But I guess I expected it to be a lot more spiritual, and maybe it's without the spiritual guidance of, because when I've been on retreat before, of course, it's been with well, I don't know what they call them, leaders, spirit, and Buddhist. So we'd have Buddhist teachings, which are all very accessible, let's face it, and a lot of spiritual practice, and we'd all meditate together. So I think there is a lot to be said for doing it in a group that maybe you don't get on it by your own self with a cat. But what I did get was downtime. Didn't meditate as much as I thought I'd meditate 2-3 times a day. I mean, I didn't. I made myself meditate every day, but it was still an effort.
Yeah.
It's something I need to work on, because in theory I do actually enjoy meditating, but I can't just, it just doesn't, I don't sit there going, I can't wait to meditate. But I really miss it when I don't do it. I didn't do it. I thought I'd do lots of Eva's practices. I've been doing these embodiment practices about feeling emotions and having to move through the body and dancing around, not naked, but I could there because there's nobody there. It wasn't like being at home where I'm on a show in a glass house at the top of a hill. So I could have done more of that, and I thought I'd do more of that, and I didn't really do anything, if I'm honest. Yeah. And also, ready-made food isn't all it's cracked up to be. Again, I thought it'd be like great, just chuck something in the microwave for 3 minutes and you have a meal, and I make better myself.
Yeah.
But I did have a bacon sandwich every day, which is great. But I just thought it'd be more. I thought it'd be more spiritual, and I wasn't.
Or maybe, but it depends. I guess one thing I meant to ask you earlier, like what depends on what spirituality means too, right? Because there is this whole idea of just being quiet in an effort to just be quiet.
Well, I thought I'd have more. I thought this would be an opportunity for me to do things that I generally don't get around to doing, like spending more time meditating, spending more time introspectively, maybe doing some journaling. But I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
I just didn't actually. I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. I just sat. I did read a lot, but just sitting. I didn't even really want to go outside much because they're bitey things when it's. And I'm not into bitey things. I lived in Africa and I was used to them as a child, and as an adult I've got used to that Scotland generally, we don't have bitey things, but there are ticks out there, and because it was so hot there actually weren't any midges, but I was I don't know, and I think like I should be outside, I should be, but I thought I want to just sit here and look outside. So
I personally think like in it, because I've had this conversation with myself too. These, where are these downloads coming from? Where are they? Are they coming, and these downloads from my guides? Like I'm sitting here waiting, when am I going to get knocked over the head? Big, whatever guide, Jesus, whomever, like, an array of light, Julie, you are, all this type. Never happens, right? However, say what?
All the time.
Things happen to you all the time? Is it
you?
Not. Yeah, but
Every time you open your mouth and the guides come through your mouth, that's it, isn't it?
well, yes, but yes, and
Yeah.
there's also the Hollywood version where you're just like going about your day and like bam, and then everybody appears in white robes and I keep thinking that's what's supposed to happen, even though we know what happens. But yeah, any hoozle. But yeah, so however, I think now I'm realizing now that's this whole Hollywood version isn't the thing. It's more about how can we go quiet and rest, which is where the sin of sloth comes in, because the sin of sloth has programmed us to not go quiet and not rest, so that to some degree we can't hear our inner voice, the divine, our guides, whatever, the animals, all the things. And when we do go quiet, because I find like when I actually take a walk, just me and Lucas out in the preserve, it's not like people are like, it's not like fairies and trees and stuff are talking to me, but you get like little things like, and that's the universe. That's everything talking with you. Yes, you may have come up with a brilliant idea, but to some degree it might be nudged along or delivered by the divine too.
Everything is. Did we not have a conversation with Danielle about this? Like, what is intelligence? What is, what is yours and what is downloaded and what is, yes, people have the capacity for this, that, and the other, but is it all channeled anyway? I mean, nothing we do is ever new, is it? It's all just we may advance things, but the basic, we're all building on what's been there before. And from the collective, they are called the collective, and they are like Abraham Hicks, a sort of like Abraham, they are a collection of non-physical entities that channel through Annie Francoeur, I think her name is, and Jess C. Lively does stuff with her, and she was sort of saying like everything that what happens is every experience that humans have, like every moment, every thought, everything, it's all like almost banked, like it all still exists, absolutely everything, but it is then accessible to future to us until it's happened. So we're constantly building on something that has come before. Stuff like that's how they describe it, which is fascinating. If you think, it also means that all the bad stuff is still all there, although obviously that's just a viewpoint.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what you just said about this Hollywood version. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it was Craig Hamilton's direct awakening, and that's what the whole concept of that was, that he had this massive spiritual awakening and he wrote a book about it, but his publishers wanted more, so he then had to try and continue. He said, and when you read the book, it was too distinct. I can't remember if it was his books or someone else's, or I think it's Craig Hamilton was talking to someone who had this, because when you read the book, there's this like massive awakening this guy has, and then it goes into like the next bit of the book and it's like, it doesn't feel like it's even written by the same person. And the guy admitted, he's like, it wasn't, because that was sort of forced on him. His publishers are like, well, you can't leave it there, so he then had to write all the same stuff that people think happens to come in. You need to do these practices and you need to be this. And he said the reality was, bang, something happened. And the vast majority of people who go through an awakening like that, something just happens. Whether or not they have a yoga practice or this, or they meditate 5 times a day, and I'm not saying that all those things aren't good for you, but they don't lead necessarily to awakening. Awakening tends to happen because of either a sequence of events that happens or it just bam happens, but it's not about your spiritual practice. So this whole book was completely disjointed, and apologies for not knowing the references. I'm pretty sure it was Craig Hamilton talking about some guru that he had met, and he was like, well, I don't understand it, because all of this I understood, because this is just a human being going through their life, and then bam, something happens, and then you sort of move into this completely different thing about, well, how you get there. But the point is, you can't take anybody else there. We can all advise on good spiritual practice for enhancement of our lives and perhaps making us more open to all the little miracles that happen in life, and I think that's what we're doing with our practices. But you're not going to get this bang huge awakening, because it doesn't happen like that.
No, I don't think so either. And
it's disappointing, because I was expecting it.
I know, I've been expecting it too, but I realize now, looking back, it's been when I have these quiet moments, I actually like I get like, cause okay, so we just went camping. So you went and cat sat and I went camping. We were gone for 3 days. Yesterday, we're recording this on July 5th. Yesterday here in the US was July 4th, fireworks season, bane of my existence, because Lucas hates them. So we try to go someplace where we have minimal exposure, if not none. And then of course we had to come home last night on the 4th, and I didn't sleep last night because people decide to disobey the laws. That's another story. Anyway, but as we were camping, it was sunny most of the time, really all the time, and we're in a forest. And so I realized at one point really early, like the very first morning, I was woke up at 9 a.m. by we just naturally woke up at 9 a.m. The birds were singing. It was beautiful. And I looked out, I'm sitting in my camper looking out the window as Brad and Lucas are outside. And in the bitey things, there were some mosquitoes, but it wasn't that bad. But anyways, but I look out and through as I look up, there's, we're a whole canopy of trees and the light is coming through the trees. And I realized I'm being bathed in green light.
It's called forest bathing, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
thing in Japan. They take people forest bathing.
Yeah. Yeah, which I totally understand the concept, but connecting it to the green light specifically was
Right.
really interesting. I had somebody gifted me an angel reading. I've never had an angel reading before, and I chose the one where you connect with your guardian angel, which I had never done before, and their main color was green. So I just had it, like I brought the report with me so I could read it again. And the main color of my angel is green, which is my favorite color to begin with, which is why I always love like that sweater that you're wearing. But anyway, but as I'm sitting, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm completely surrounded in green light. And so I would spend at least 2 more hours every morning just sitting there in that green. I mean, we did so basically 24/7, but specifically I would just sit there. And I didn't do like you. I have a daily meditation qigong practice. I do sit-ups and stuff. I didn't do any of it. I could barely remember to take my vitamins. We took nice walks with the dog. We went to the beach because we were on Lake Michigan. Fabulous. And that's all, in my humble opinion, I realized that we needed to do. There was nothing more. Although we read a ton of books. I finished on our best behavior, but what more do you need to do? Yeah.
I think I was speaking to like Louise yesterday, who I speak to every Thursday. She does this. Louise McAllen, Health Mind, and she's just changed the tagline. Anyway, she's brilliant. I'll put her stuff down there. And we swap healings, if you like, as in I help her with stuff, she helps me with stuff. And she was the one that sort of got me into this idea that I need to do more of the fembodiment stuff. Although the courses with Eva, it was Louise that was going like, all this stuff intellectually, Kate, but you need to feel it in your body. That's what she does, mind body stuff. And it was her father's friend because I'd said I wanted to do a retreat, because normally I go on retreat with her. And I'd said she didn't really want to go this year, and I didn't really want to go. I did not, she'd set it up, but she was saying, but maybe that's what you needed. Like, because I don't actually, if I look back, I'm not really sure what I did, because I didn't do a lot of actual nothing. I did sleep a lot, but even I can't sleep indefinitely, because even though I want to lie in bed all day, I would love to lie in bed all day, but it's actually not comfortable for me after a period of time. So I literally just moved from the bed to the couch. But I did make myself do I did do yoga every day, but that's more preventative, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to move. So I did yoga, and then I'd make myself do meditation. I say make myself. There's a mindset. There's 2 things I need to work through. I think this is highlighted for me. One of them is this: I'm still making everything work. Everything is work. Everything is a job. It's like, I have to do this, I have to do that. The other is I play this, like, this is just one of a series of games that I play on my phone. It started with Candy Crush. Oh my God, like, who invented this stuff? This to me is heaven. Logical, pretty, satisfying, quick, easily accessible, cheap, quiet games that you can play when you're waiting for the doctor, because I hate waiting for anything. But like Louise, we were talking about this yesterday with Louise, and she's like, I do need to examine whether it's a distraction technique. Like I play it on the loo. Now the reason I do that, I play it when I'm waiting for stuff. I do it on the loo because to me that's wasted time. So this is, I get this is totally the wrong mindset about everything, because this is all basically supporting my time shortage consciousness. You know, instead of saying, actually, Kate, you can play that game wherever you want, go and sit on the couch, be comfortable, play it. Instead, I steal moments and I sit on the loo until my leg goes numb, playing these stupid games that are just, but they're just logic. And I get such huge mental satisfaction by solving mental problems. So although they sound brainless, and they are brainless, to me, solving logic puzzles is enormously satisfying. But I need to look at that, because that's the only game I play. So the one I'm playing at the moment isn't Candy Crush, but it's the same idea. But it's actually Seat Jam, which is basically you get all these little people looking down on like a plane and all these seats, and you have to move them around within certain moves, and they all get to the right seat. It's brilliant. And to top it off, they have this stupid little noise if I have the sound on that goes, you know, they all sit there making, they're just little emojis go, because, and they all fidget because they're in the wrong seat. And then they're just and then when you get them in the right seat, they turn green. And then at the end, when you win, it goes, woo! And then, I love all that. But that's, I think, see, that's an avoidance technique, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of not wanting to do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yesterday, as we were driving home, so we were like 3.5 hours away. So, and I have an older iPhone. I have an iPhone 10, which technically isn't that old, but
Isn't that new?
No, I guess not. And to some degree, it's starting to die, as is my computer. Oh, good. I'm going, yeah, as is my computer. So I'm clearly going to have to get new technology this year. I'm not really excited about it. But anyway.
Oh my God, do you know how much they cost now?
Yes, I do. I'm not happy about it. Anyway, so, but yesterday, as soon as we came, so I don't get cell service where we camp. Brad does, because he's got a newer phone. I don't know why it works that way. I don't really care. Anyway, so as soon as we get back into range, I'm like, I should turn my phone on and go through all my emails that I haven't looked at in over 3 days and just kind of clean them up. That's what I first thought. And then I thought, no, I'm not gonna. So I didn't turn on my phone until an hour away from home. And the only reason I did was so that I could turn the thermostat, because I have a Nest, so I could turn the thermostat on because it was 90+ degrees here yesterday. So I could turn the air conditioner on so it would be cooler when we got home. That way Lucas didn't have to be outside with all the fireworks and whatnot. So anyway, but I still, even when I did that, I didn't look at my phone. I didn't look at email until this morning when I got up.
And then your world fell apart.
And then what?
Yeah. And then your world fell apart. No,
well, not really. You know what I did? I had like 100 and some emails in my personal. I had 50 in my business, whatever. And a lot of it's just newsletters and stuff. Delete, 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 delete. I didn't even open them. Just, it was beautiful. Felt great.
I literally had a handful, if that. I mean, I didn't check. I had to go on Messenger once just because the lady who was coming on the Saturday, on the day that we were swapping over, just to negotiate with her about cat care of handing over. But other than that, no. I mean, I didn't phone anybody. I didn't check email. I actually moved because I wanted to turn my phone off completely, but a lot of Eva's meditations and stuff like that are on my phone. I thought it's just not practical. But what I did was move all the icons to, like, buried them so that I couldn't even see notifications, so I would never get tempted. And I'm not tempted. I have no desire. There was a landline there, and I'd said to Gary, I phoned Gary when I got there, and I was like, in an event of emergency, ring the landline, and that was it. So I didn't have any contact with anyone. I mean, it was genuinely downtime. It's just I do have this stupid game on my phone, and I didn't really play it a lot. But, you know, there was a bit of me going, oh, you know, that's cheating because you're not supposed to. But then I thought, well, is it? Because it's not really input, is it? I mean, it's chewing gum for the mind, but it's not, you know. And then, like, the other thing is, well, whose rules are they? I don't, you know, well, but I do need to look at that because there is, anyway, yeah. So you and I were talking, let's go back to the point. The point is sloth.
Yes.
But it's hard. I felt even there, sorry, even doing that, right? Like, I did go swimming one day because it's just, oh my God, I walked down to there is a marina down there, but it was far away enough I couldn't hear anything. There was these beautiful yachts and that, but you could walk down there, but there was no traffic, so it wasn't going past me. But I walked down there, and there was amazing ships, and not ships, but yachts, and like posh people and things. And like looking down though, it was really clear. You could see all the way down into the. And I was like, oh, actually, I really do want to swim. So I managed to, but I found somewhere to swim, like just literally overlooking where the house was. That was beautiful, really beautiful doing that swimming. But I didn't have my float. I forgot to take my float with me, and I forgot to take my ear thing, so I didn't want to go out too far in case I got run over by a yacht. I don't know. And then I came back in, but it's like and I did walk up to the top of the hill, because the man I was staying with they'd put a bench at the top of the hill, which you can see from the kitchen, which is lovely. And I did go up there, and that was beautiful. But I didn't even want to do that. And the second swim was more about, can't stay here for a week and not go swimming again. Like, it was still a should. I should go swimming. I should be outside. This is beautiful here. I don't want to go outside. There's bitey things. Well, you should go for a walk. I don't want to. It was hot. I'm not used to it being hot in Scotland. I mean, I know we bitch and moan about the weather, but like when it's hot, I didn't want to. And I think if you're on your own as well, it's like it's a bit awkward swimming on your own, because I didn't know if someone would come out and go, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You shouldn't be swimming here, and stuff like that. And I didn't want to get ticks on me, because I can't see where the ticks are, because I'm on my own, and there's nobody to say, look, have I got a tick up my arse, or is there something on, because you can't, because sorry, for the idea of little things, do you know they stick to you for weeks? Well, see, I didn't even think of ticks, except that the kind gentleman whose house it was says, and I've left a tick remover there, and I was like, forgot about ticks, because I don't think about it. I should do, because I'm in sheep country. But and that sort of thing, I was like, ticks. So there was a lot of shoulding going on, even in that, even though nobody's watching me. I'm like, I can't go away for a week in this beautiful scenery and say, actually, I sat on the deck. I didn't even sit on the deck, I actually sat inside with the doors open. I looked at this beautiful scenery, and I loved being in nature, but I didn't really want to walk in it.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was the same thing. I brought my journal. I didn't bring my computer because it doesn't charge anymore. So it has to stay plugged in. So I'm like, okay, so I brought my journal, and I thought, all right, I handwrite stuff. Because when I write, I prefer to type, because I can keep up with my head faster. When I try to handwrite, then I can't read my handwriting. So anyway, so I thought I'd do that. And I did a little bit of that on the first day. And then after that, we walked the dog, we ate, we took naps, and we read our book. That's it. And it's like I felt rested, which is the Sin of Sloth. Is there's an idea that women in particular, because this book in particular is about women, but we're not taught or allowed or honored or programmed to not rest, and to fully rest. When you fully rest, to me, I feel like that's when we can connect to even better, stronger, easier. It's like the more we rest, the pipeline to the divine, and however one wants to connect with the divine, opens up so much clearer. It's like it's always on, and I can just dip into it. Anyway, but
I think that's the point. And actually, that's one of the books that we've read in book club, Breakfast with Buddha, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
Mud settling. And I think that's it. We don't, it's like Louisa said, why does it need to be anything? Why because I have this idea. I think the solitude is, don't get me wrong, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would, because I thought I'd be like just in this lovely, beautiful, dreamy, spiritual world, and it wasn't. It was just me in a house on my own, which, don't get me wrong, is fun. I love being with myself and doing stuff, and I didn't feel lonely, not once. I did want a bit of light entertainment every now and then. I really wanted to watch RuPaul, and I could have done. There was a telly there. I did have yoga on video just to help me with my yoga class, but I didn't. So I could have watched YouTube. I didn't do any of those things, and I do feel the benefit of that, I think. But there is that old guilt from that, of like, yeah, but you didn't do anything constructive,
right?
You didn't have a direct awakening. You didn't do any journaling. You could have been doing your ever practices. You could have been meditating 3 times a day, Kate. Why weren't you? I don't know why I wasn't. I don't even know where the fucking time went when I was doing nothing. Right. I did a bit of painting, but a bit of that was sort of like, I should be doing some painting. You know, you're in this beautiful place. I should be doing something. Should. Most fun I had was reading a book, actually.
Yeah.
Broke my heart. And oh, I have to say about this book, have I been talking too long?
No. No, my goodness, that's all.
I'll have to put it in the notes. So I can't remember the woman's name. Welsh couple that lived in, had a beautiful Welsh farm that they had renovated themselves and had built up. They had a small holding, they'd been there for years, whatever. Their children had grown up, gone to university, they had their sheep and their animals and all of that, and then they had invested money with a friend, and then the investment went bad, so they lost that money. But worse than that, and I'm sure I saw a film about that, there was a period of time where this happened, the company came after them for money. Like, that had not been part of the agreement, but they couldn't prove that it wasn't, so they lost everything they had. They had the clothes on their back. They literally had a week to get out of the farm. They had a big court case about it, and she actually found, in the last week, she found evidence that proved that it wasn't a two-way thing, but she didn't submit it the right way, and the court refused to look at it. So they lost their home, they lost their livelihood. The final court case, her husband was diagnosed with a terminal incurable disease, so they literally lost everything. So the bit that, and this will make me cry, but this is so beautiful, so she'd managed to get rid of her hens, but she had an old ewe. I can't remember if it was 10 or 16 years old, but for the last 10 years this old ewe was the only one left. She'd had 3 sisters and had all died. She didn't have any teeth, and she used to come and eat a piece of bread out of her hand every morning. It's gonna make me cry. And now she's like, we've lost the home, I don't know what to do with this sheep. And I knew it as I read it. She said that Spotine, I think it was called, which is spot in Welsh, hadn't come up for her piece of bread. And you know, her heart was breaking. She's like, I don't know what to do with this sheep. And the sheep had just laid down and died under an apple tree. And you know, and it's everything we know about animals. The sheep was like, I'm done. You don't have to worry about me. And she just laid down under her favourite apple tree and died. And it broke my heart to read that. But it's also, it's everything we know about animals. Like, this sheep had just gone, that's fine, I don't want to move. And just lay down and died. And that's, like Abraham Hicks says, that when an animal's life becomes less than joyful, they will simply leave. And I just think it was so beautiful. But of course I'm reading this, crying my eyes out on my own, crying for me, crying for Nyla, crying for every animal in the world that's ever died, and crying for the beauty of them. And you know, and actually it's happy for me. That was really happy, because the minute I'd started reading the book, I was like, what about the sheep? What's going to happen to the sheep? What are they going to do with the sheep? So, you know, I was relieved that the sheep had died, but it was just so beautiful. Of course, she just lies down with the sheep and cries, because that's her whole life gone. Anyway, so they walked. They decided she'd read this book in her 20s about someone who'd walked somewhere in Wales to Cornwall along the coast. It's a path that people walk, and it's like a lot of these coastal paths, people come in at different places, and some do it for really long periods and some just do a bit of it, and people do it for the weekend or whatever. And they walked it. They had nothing, absolutely nothing. They lost everything, and they just walked it because there was nothing else to do. And ironically, the walking actually helped her husband. He's still alive now.
Wow.
But it's this idea that you lose everything.
Yeah.
They were living off 30 quid a fortnight or something, because they couldn't even get benefits, because there was no fixed abode. They could only get certain benefits, and then they reduced their benefits, and they couldn't question it because they didn't have a phone number, and they didn't have money for topping up a card, and you know, and they were like living off rice and beans, and I couldn't do that. So anyway, it's inspired me to start walking, Julie, not because I want to do a long walk, but because I live in a beautiful part of the world and I should be walking. So I have been doing that every day. So I've come back with a walking habit, working up to 20 minutes up the hill and down again. It's hard work. But...
yeah. Then this, you know, this idea of losing everything is in relation to this, the sin of sloth. There's the 2 things. One is, you know, we would love, our dream is to go nomadic, not have a whole lot of things. And I didn't, and what's interesting is that I have subscribed to this Becoming Minimalist blog for a long time. And Brad has now suddenly, somehow he came home and said something about being minimalist. And I'm like, well, you know, there's a blog. He's like, oh yeah, I started reading it. So now he's doing it, and we want to sell our RV and go even smaller. And he said to me the other day, you realize you only need 5 pieces of clothing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, so and I'm like, yeah, we need to spend like a week and just like get rid of everything. But there's this other guy named Pico Iyer who wrote a book, I think it's called The Art of Stillness. And he talks about how he was in this state of flux. I forget what all was going on. I think he lives in Japan, but I don't know, he was in California, but his house, there was an earthquake. He lost everything in this earthquake. And then he realized that it was actually a gift to free him up for whatever else too. So yeah, I don't know where that comes in as far as, but I guess maybe my thought is that the sin of sloth, as it relates to losing everything, we have all these things to some degree as a distraction. And the other thing is, I also look at people that have a lot of stuff and a lot of expensive stuff, and they have to work that much harder to be able to maintain that overhead. And then they can't ever take downtime. Like, I was thinking about how I didn't check email, and I was thinking about other people I know that they go on vacation, and they're constantly looking at this thing. Oh my gosh, what's going on in the office? Oh my God, what's going on in the office? And they've never taken the chance to disconnect, to rest, to actually spend time where it matters too.
That's a choice as well, though. There is a level of self-importance involved in that.
Yeah.
Because I've known people like that don't have to check in, but can't either. They say they can't trust anyone else, blah blah blah. It's like, no, you think the world can't survive without you? It can, and it will, and it would very very quickly. You find when you lose your job, or when I left, you think you're irreplaceable. Nobody's irreplaceable. Life goes on. Right. They soon forget you. But yeah, I think there's something Abraham Hicks says, like every single thing you own has an energetic imprint, a little piece of you. So I look around and I think, oh my God, I could get rid of all this stuff, but it's like it's quite hard. This life we have is a trap, because I think I could live in an RV with much less stuff, but I couldn't live here with less stuff, because what would I do with my time? And it's like and that's the other thing you say, there's this overhead, because I came from a good wage, a really good wage, and I have friends who earn a lot less, so they do much more honorable jobs than me, but they didn't have. And and there's this idea, they think that, well, you've got loads of money, why can't you give up your job? And what people don't realize is it's a trap. When you have money, a higher income, you have much higher outgoings, because as you say, you accumulate things. Now Gary and I, okay, he loves his cars, but we've never had, he loves his car, right? He has a flash car, but that's his choice. But we've never been in for flash cars, and we used to spend our money on holidays, yes, but I've never had fancy stuff. I mean, you can see from the shit I wear, I'm not, but there's still this overhead, and it's like the more you have, it's almost, and also the more you earn, the more scared you are of having less money. I mean, I'm living off an absolute pittance now, and I'm earning absolutely nothing, but I'm still, obviously there's still the maintenance to be had, but that's fortunate that our mortgage is paid, etc. So but the fear of living with less, just because you have a good wage, people completely underestimate. They think, well, what's your fucking problem? You've got a good job, you've got savings. But it's actually, as we've learned, it's all in your head anyway. It's actually nothing to do with, you can never have enough money if you're a prisoner. If you're a prisoner to money, you can never have enough, right? It's and now I live off pennies, less than my holiday fund when I had money, right? I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have most things I need, but it doesn't stop you wanting stuff, actually, does it? No. I'm like, I want to go on another course, and I'm like, well, I've actually at the first time in my life, I'm like, I actually can't afford to. I'm not gonna do it. I know all this stuff. I'll work it out myself. I'll get disciplined. I'll do my own course. I don't need somebody else's. Yeah. No, this whole notion of, this money is a trap, but then also this notion of having to produce something, having to constantly be doing something. It's like, well, what's wrong with just sitting outside or not doing anything and just letting thoughts run through your head? It's nuts. I think I'm just looking at my bookshelf, because that's the one thing, like, I'd be like, oh, but I want to buy books. Well, I can't. I have books here I've had for decades, and I've not read them yet. It's
someday maybe I will. We'll see. I might not be able to get them in the RV, so they might not come. But there's a beautiful thing called libraries, and which you don't have to. You don't have to.
I look upon most books as disposable now because you can get them so cheaply secondhand.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. Or free, like, yeah, little free.
I don't often get rid of them though.
Say what?
I always buy secondhand books, but I don't often get rid of them.
Yeah.
But I could potentially, because you can always buy them again.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's just, yeah. So this whole idea of not, it just all kind of, it's interesting how everything's all connected, like not doing the Sin of Sloth, right? Not doing anything. Actually, you're really doing a lot, because for you to rest, for one to rest, and for one to actually take time to just be open to what the universe says or provides or tells you or whatever. And then also getting trapped up in money. I mean, I have a friend that earns a ton of money, and there's nothing but anger because what this person's doing for a living just pisses them off, and they're just so angry. But the level that has to be maintained, that income has to be maintained in order to take care of all this stuff. And I'm like, well, if you just got rid of all this stuff, you could actually do something else you really wanted to do, and you would be happy, and then your life would be different. And then the other thing I think of too is how all that stuff makes us sick.
I was going to say, if you don't find time, because it was the same for me, what caused my, and same for you, what ultimately caused me to go was a massive breakdown, and I couldn't, and I got better and I went back to work, but it just was not the same, and I was not prepared to sacrifice my happiness anymore. So that's what happens if you ignore it for long enough.
Yeah.
Something will happen. I was going to say something really profound. I've lost it.
Oh.
It's gone.
Oh, yeah. So sloth is important.
Oh, I know what it was. It was also like the shit that goes through your head about, well, I should be doing this, or this should be productive, or even my downtime, I should somehow be building a spiritual practice, and being okay. So you've moved your productiveness from doing for other people, well, okay, I need to do it for myself, but you're still a slave master to yourself. Well, I should be meditating, I should be doing more spiritual stuff, and maybe I need to paint a bit, maybe I should do some journaling. But what Louise pointed, because I was like, why was I so tired? Because generally I was really doing nothing. I was just so tired to the extent I thought I need to go to the doctor and just have someone tell me that this is just what happens with fibromyalgia. It's not, I don't feel that I'm dying or anything like that, but it's like, it's not normal. And again, what is normal for one is not, but so tired. And she said, but what you're not counting is the mental energy it takes to continually berate yourself. Even though I'm technically on downtime, my whole nervous system is still going, yeah, but Kate, you should be meditating. Why aren't you meditating? Well, you should be doing this. This is the only opportunity you get. There's nobody here. You've gone to all this trouble to organize yourself to be a retreat, and there's nobody here to bother you. You can dance around the room naked. You could do those, not that my practices require that, but you could do this and you could do that, and you should be doing this and you should be taking advantage. You've only got 7 days. Oh my God, it's day 5 and you haven't done this and you've only meditated. Well, she says, do you know what that's like? Just because it's you in your head berating yourself, it's the same as having a stand-up shouting argument with your partner. Of course you're exhausted, and you're like, oh my God, like I don't even know I'm doing that. But there's this little going, you've only got 7 days, Kate, fuck, better get on with those practices. You'll never get this chance again. So even though it's not like a nasty voice, well, it sort of is. It's all it kind of is. Because it's going, you've only got 7 days. You need to pack all your spiritual practice now. And I just lay on the couch going, fuck, don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Maybe I need 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I do think when you take a vacation here in the US, what I have found, when one takes a vacation, we only allow ourselves, if we allow ourselves a week, that's odd, right? So, but it usually takes you a week to deprogram yourself from the hectic aspect of your life. Deprogram, now you're in vacation mode, and oh, hey, you got to get back on the plane to go wherever you're going, if you're driving, whatever. It just takes that long. And So you never really get the rest to begin with, because also usually you get to wherever you're going and you're like, I got to see this and I got to see this and I got to do this, or else I can't really say that I've been here. I can't say to all my friends I've experienced this if I don't go to all these places, and you miss the point. And then it's even interesting too, like I still kind of, someday I would just like to live in Paris just for 6 months, just to say that I did, because it's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. But I don't know. Because do I want it? I don't really like cities anymore. I used to love them. I don't really like cities anymore. I'd much rather go be bathed under the trees. But I could do the city. I could do the bathed under trees for weeks. Just as we were leaving the campsite, there was a woman that actually, she lives near where I am right now. But they had arrived. So yesterday was Tuesday. So they had arrived on the Wednesday prior. They were staying through till Saturday. So they were staying, 10 days, whatever. Oh, would have been amazing. So now we're like, okay, so how do we do that? Huh?
Why didn't you?
Because Brad had to work. Because they only give him 2 weeks vacation, which is, so here's how the Sin of Sloth gets reinforced, at least in American culture. You usually only get 2 weeks vacation. He is 62 years old. He only gets 2 weeks vacation.
Can you take unpaid leave?
Yes, but it's frowned upon.
See, most British people would get a minimum of 4 weeks.
Yeah, most Europeans. Yeah,
I got 6 because we didn't have to take our public holidays as they occurred. You could accrue them and put them towards your. Gary's actually now got 7.5. I mean, it's quite a. But we get paid a lot less than you, so you can fuck off. So
Yeah, but we get paid. What do we do with it?
It's not a competition.
No, I know. We get paid.
No.
I know.
No,
It's about healthcare.
Because I'm an American company, we always used to have this argument with the Americans, because they'd be like, yeah, but how come you get so many holidays? And be like, well, how come you get paid twice as much as us?
That's because we have to buy freaking healthcare. If we even get it offered to us, we don't have healthcare here. Oh, it's a mess.
See how easy we just fall into that defensiveness. I work really, really hard. I deserve everything I get. How come he gets this? How come she gets that? Why don't we have this? Crazy madness. So,
yes.
Moral of the story is,
yes.
I think sloth is wonderful. Sloth is good, but actually, sloth is quite hard to achieve.
Yes. Given all the parameters. Yeah.
And do you know what? Because I would do this again. I loved looking after Mimi. I was really sad to leave the cat. And that's another fascinating thing that happens, is you see how relationships build. Because she was chummy when I first met her, but you start to build a real relationship, especially when it's just 2 of you. And I really got quite fond of her, to the extent I was worried that the people that were coming after me probably weren't going to offer the same level of care that I was. It's like, but you just get that little bit, because I'm never really chummy with a cat. I don't know. I let them make their own moves. It's not like dogs, is it? And on the sort of last 2 days, she'd started climbing up. I mean, she was sleeping with me when she wasn't killing things, but she was sort of sitting on my lap, at the end, quite uncomfortably for both of us. But it was a sort of truce, sort of like, well, we're chums now. So I got quite fond of her. So, but I think if I did it again, I probably would keep the no. I'm going to look at this game playing, because I think there's something in this distraction. That's what Louise was saying.
Yeah.
I might allow myself light entertainment. Why not? If I probably, or maybe buy more books, because that was a really inspiring book. I came out thinking, oh my God, humans are amazing. We can do anything. That's probably hours. We've been talking. I could talk for hours. I've missed you, Julie.
No, I've missed you too, Kate. I'm so glad you're back. Can I just wanted, so in this book, she ends every chapter with the sin, but to some degree as a benefit. And I'm just going to sum it up that way. And I might be underplaying it, but anyways, but the last thing she writes is, accepting sloth is essential. We can demand support, embrace rest, and reserve our strength for the worthiest work. Which is so true.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen. Because just for example, we had a wee chat with Julie about her I want to Arizona, Alaskan escapade, and realizing how much effort you put into that for what?
Nothing.
No joy.
Yeah, no. Even detriment of self-esteem in detriment of mental health. Because I was telling Kate that I resigned from this board finally that I've talked about. And when the notice went out that I resigned, no one said a thing. No one said, thank you for your service. No one said, we're so glad you're gone. Not negative or nothing. Complete crickets. Not even crickets, just dead silence. And I just thought, I did all this work for all these years for not one thank you. Not one thing.
We should maybe do a thing on that. I think it's and I do feel I have to defend these people in some way, Julie, because in a sense, and also to make you feel better, just because they didn't say anything doesn't mean that there weren't people there that will miss you terribly. I think it was very dysfunctional and they maybe just don't even know what to say.
It's possible.
And maybe they feel I let you down.
Maybe.
You know, the people who did support you, they did let you down because they didn't support you enough.
Yes. You know, what's interesting to me is, for me personally, is getting in touch with how it really made me feel, because that's not something I've ever done. I've never allowed myself to do that. Or if I have, I've immediately been, you know, I don't know. It's not so much anger. I don't know. I really have never ever spent time with, oh, this makes me feel a certain way, because I would fill the time with something else. Like when I lost my job in the advertising world, I never really spent the time to process it.
We should talk about that next time then, because that's what the fembodiment was all about.
Okay, cool. We will. Processing grief
And any emotion.
Okay.
Letting yourself feel it, as opposed to, right, need to move on, need to be busy, need to, oh, Candy Crush.
Yeah. Oh, more email to check. Yes. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you're back, Kate.
Me too. I'll try and get the new titles on for this, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So, everybody, nice to be back, and I hope you've missed us as much as we've missed you, or missed each other, since we don't actually know who you are. Well, we do know who you are, but you're not like here with us in the room, which is probably just as well because it'd be crowded. I'm Kate Fogger. This is Julie Hurt. Together we are Making Light. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can get the thingy down here, subscribe to YouTube down here to be notified of new episodes. If you've enjoyed this, please do pass it on, share it with your friends, family, anybody who you think would be interested. Please do subscribe. It lets us know that you are interested in what we have to say. So we are trying to get onto another podcast. We are a YouTube podcast. Still have no idea what it is, but it's a thing and we're doing it. I think it seems to just be a playlist. I'm not quite sure how it transcribes to a podcast, because I thought a podcast meant it was audio as a whatever. Anyway, it's all happening here. Thank you for being with us, and we shall see you next time.